Again, welcome to this Sunday Feast program. And next part of our program is Sunday Feast lecture. Today class will be given by Her Grace Suvarna Manjari Mataji. She is very familiar to our congregation. She does not need any introduction but our purification, telling few words. Mataji is participating in many of temple services in the background. Mataji was big support in raising funds for temple. She has been continuing to support along with Rahul Prabhu. She is pillar of our congregation. Mataji's classes are very simple and understandable way to implement. Mataji is well known for her melodious Kirtans. With that, we will welcome Suvarna Manjari Mataji with by loudly chanting one time Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Over to you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So good to see all of you and those who are on Zoom also. So we'll start with Jai Radha Madhava. Jai Radha Madhava, Jayo Kunja Bihari. Jai Radha Madhava, Jayo Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jayo Giri Varadhari, Jayo Giri Varadhari. Jayo Yashodanandana, Jayo Braja Janaranjana. Jayo Yamuna Tiravanachari, Jayo Kunja Bihari. Jayo Radha Madhava, Jayo Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayo Radha Madhava, Jayo Kunja Bihari. So today's class is actually a class I had prepared for Gaur Purnima, and but Krishna had some other plans, so I was traveling on Gaur Purnima. So I'm going to pick up from that class because it is on the Shikshashtakam, and the Shikshashtakam is very dear to all of us. So I'm going to read from Chaitanya Charitamrita for today's class. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragutatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Hare Krishna. So today I'm speaking from Chaitanya Charitamrita, and this is the final chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is entitled Shikshashtakam. Many of us chant Shikshashtakam in the morning, but reading this chapter really enlightened me on not just the verse-by-verse translation of Shikshashtakam, but how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has explained it, and how Krishnadas Kaviraj also adds his commentary. So first we must acknowledge the author Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami for getting the Shikshashtakam to us, but it would be amiss not to acknowledge Srila Prabhupada, who translated this in English and got this to all of us. So Jai Srila Prabhupada. So this is, a lot of this is direct reading from Shikshashtakam with certain comments and interjections by Krishnadas Kaviraj. So it says, only the most fortunate will relish the mad words of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which were mixed with jubilation, envy, agitation, and grief, all produced by ecstatic, loving emotions. Okay, so we all know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was ecstatic about with love about Krishna and how he did the Mahamantra. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All glories to Lord Nityananda. All glories to Advaita Chandra. All glories to all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thus resided at Jagannath Puri, Nilachal, he was continuously overwhelmed day and night by separation from Krishna. Day and night he tasted transcendental blissful songs and verses with two associates, namely Swarup Damodar Goswami and Ramananda Raya. He relished the symptoms of various transcendental emotions such as jubilation, lamentation, anger, humility, anxiety, grief, eagerness, and satisfaction. Now, all of us experience these emotions, but the difference is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu experienced jubilation, lamentation, humility, anxiety, grief, eagerness, satisfaction for Krishna. Not for anything else, not for an exam, not for a job interview, not for a promotion, not for your children doing well. It was all linked. So what this tells me is God has given us these emotions, okay? So there is nothing wrong in expressing these emotions. But what we express these emotions towards is key. If we are expressing these emotions for material satisfaction and material benefit, okay, then it is really not channelized in the direction which these emotions were given to us for. These emotions were given to us for expression towards the Lord. He would recite his own verses, expressing their meanings and emotions, and thus tasting them with these two friends. Sometimes the Lord would be absorbed in a particular emotion and would stay awake all night reciting verses related to and relishing this taste of emotion. In great jubilation, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "My dear Swarup Damodar and Ramananda Raya, know from me that chanting the holy names is the most feasible means of salvation in the age of Kali." We fast on Ekadashi. Yesterday was Ekadashi. We fast on Ekadashi. But whenever I hear anything on Ekadashi, yes, we are fasting, we are offering our, following the principles of Ekadashi. But the most important thing to do on Ekadashi is chanting Hare Krishna. So, for some health reasons, if somebody cannot fast, you can at least, abstain from grains and beans, which is easy to do. You can eat because people have different health conditions, so they can still. Ekadashi is one of those fasts that is made so easy for us because it doesn't mean you are not going to eat all day, because many people have reached a stage of life where their body needs a supply due to certain health conditions. But Ekadashi gives us that option that all you have to do is abstain from beans and grains. So it is one of the easiest fasts. And what are we supposed to do in Ekadashi? Increase our chanting, increase our devotion towards the Lord. So in this age of Kali, the process of worshipping Krishna is to perform sacrifice. What is the sacrifice? By chanting the holy name of the Lord. One who does so is certainly very intelligent, and he or she attains the shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sangopangastra Parshadam Yagyai Sankirtana Prayer Yajantihi Sumedhasa. What this verse says is, in this age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the name of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, and this is about Lord Chaitanya, his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Simply by chanting the holy name of Lord Krishna, one can be freed from undesirable habits. The most undesirable habit we have is being lethargic. So, Krishna consciousness is one way of getting rid of lethargy, because you start enjoying working for Krishna. This is the means of awakening all good fortune and initiating the flow of waves of love for Krishna. The verse that Rohini Mataji and the children covered today spoke about only worship Krishna for all good fortune, material and spiritual. And how do we worship Krishna in this age of Kali is by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the first verse of Shikshashtakam, Chetodarpanam Arjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. You can chant along. Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadhu Jivanam Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. This is called by Bhakti Siddhanta the seven-tongued verse. So what are the 7 items in this shloka? Cheto Darpana Marjanam. You cleanse the heart, the mirror of the heart. So why we cleanse it? Because our hearts are dirty. And that is why we cannot see Krishna. Because the mirror is covered by lifetimes of material desires. The second item here is Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. Bhava means material existence. Mahadavagni is the blazing forest fire. So material existence is compared to a blazing forest fire. You know, whenever we hear of forest fires, they keep spreading. Like that, material desires are such, like forest fires, they keep growing. Okay? Nirvapanam. Chanting Hare Krishna extinguishes this blazing fire. So we all have we are in this material world, we all have material desires, but how do we, this material desires that is like a blazing forest fire, what can extinguish it? Chanting Hare Krishna extinguishes the blazing fire. The next is Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. Shreya means the ultimate benefit. Okay? There are 2 phases of the moon, the waxing and the waning phase. Chanting this Maha Mantra is like the waxing phase of the moon. We are in that phase where the moon keeps getting bigger and bigger. Okay? So chanting means you are in that phase where you are making that moon grow bigger and bigger. So chanting Hare Krishna is the waxing moon of ultimate auspiciousness and ultimate good. The next part of the 7-tongued items is Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. Vidya, as we know, is transcendental knowledge. Typically we think of Vidya as knowledge, but it is transcendental knowledge. The real knowledge we know is not material knowledge, it is transcendental knowledge. Vadhu. Vadhu is typically, we call as wife, in Sanskrit. But it also means life and soul. So chanting Hare Krishna is the wife, which means it is the life and soul of transcendental knowledge. You may want to read so many transcendental and Vedic texts, but how will we understand them? I think we've referred to this in many of my previous classes, is there are so many scholars who will claim to know and understand Bhagavad Gita. They can give very good lectures that, make you feel, wow, this person is so knowledgeable. But the gap between having that knowledge and having Krishna reside in our heart comes from the process of devotional service, and that is chanting Krishna's name. It is easy to be a scholar and to, make notes and talk about, I know this text, sure. But like they say, you have to walk the talk. You have to be, in Hindi they say, achar and prachar. So you can do the prachar, which is the lecture, but if you're not applying it, then you have missed the whole purpose of reading, understanding, because you have not had this sink in your heart. So it is not a question of scholarship. Many scholars have studied Bhagavad Gita their whole life, but they don't understand the essence of this message. Love for Krishna, that ecstatic, mad love for Krishna. Looking at Krishna as, you are my master, you are my friend, you are my everything. Having that faith, surrendering, it doesn't matter. And one of the last verses says, it doesn't matter what you give me in my life, in this lifetime. You can treat me harshly, roughly, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to be devoted to you. That is the essence of all the scriptures. So why don't they take up devotional service? Because this is the theory and practical part of it. You can study the book on surgery, but you will not be a good surgeon till you have practiced surgery. So all the scholars who give excellent lectures, if they have not applied those and practicing those, the teachings, then it is, your knowledge just stops at that point, and it really doesn't translate for you to develop that love for Krishna. They have not achieved the transcendental blessing to actually comprehend and develop that relationship with Krishna. Just like it is said in the Upanishad, if you have full faith in Guru and full faith in Krishna, then you will understand everything you read in the Vedic literatures. So in the same way, without chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, you will not be able to understand the teachings of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. You need these blessings, which is why it is said, Vidya Vadhu Jivanam, it is life and soul, this transcendental knowledge. The next part of this verse says, Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. The next benediction, they say, is the ocean, and it is increasing day by day. We normally don't experience this as if the ocean increases day by day, because what would happen if the ocean increases day by day? It will flood out, right? But Anandam Buddhi means there is an ocean of bliss, and we need it to overflow. We know about the saltwater ocean in Bhagavatam. We have they talk about oceans of ghee, oceans of water, oceans of liquor. There are many different kinds of oceans. And here we are talking about the ocean of transcendental bliss. This is the ocean of Ananda, bliss. When we do Sankirtan or when we are chanting, okay, it will increase our potency and love for Krishna. That is why we do congregational chanting. Chanting Hare Krishna, that ocean overflowing is necessary. Because when that ocean grows and overflows, that is when we develop love for Krishna. Material pleasure has a beginning, a middle, and the end. But Anand, the Anand really means your spiritual bliss. It has no beginning, no end. It can keep increasing without creating any disruption, but actually taking you closer to the God. Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam. Pratipadam means at every step. Purna. Purna means full. So here you think of, we talked about full moon, the waxing moon. So think of it growing towards the full moon. Purna Amrita. Amrita is similar to Anand. It means deathless nectar. Okay, but chanting Hare Krishna, when we say Purna Amrita, it is not only deathless nectar, it is full deathless nectar. Aswadanam, that means we are tasting it at every step. So Pratipadam, at every step when we chant, we are tasting that full deathless nectar. Okay? And finally, Sarvatma Snapana. In this verse, it is said, it is the full bathing of the self. We take a bath in the morning and we feel nice, fresh, feel good, right? In the same way, the chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is bathing for the soul. We are bathing the soul every time we chant, and it cleanses the soul. So that is why we say we have to cleanse the mirror of our soul in order to see Krishna. And this cleansing makes us feel refreshed, energized. And over time, Krishna will reveal, as this mirror gets cleaner and cleaner, Krishna will reveal himself to us. So, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, continuing on this, we say, let there be all victory. So now I'm reading the translation. Let there be all victory for the chanting of the holy name of Lord Krishna, which can cleanse the mirror of the heart and stop the miseries of the blazing fire of material existence. That chanting is the waxing moon is when the moon is growing, that spreads the white lotus of good fortune on all living entities. It is the life and soul of all education, all knowledge. The chanting of the holy name of Krishna expands the blissful ocean of transcendental life. It gives a cooling effect to everyone and enables us to taste the full nectar at every step. So by performing congregational chanting, which we did before when Gayatri Mataji was doing Kirtan, and we'll do again when we do Arati, one can destroy the sinful condition of material existence, purify and this unclean heart, and awaken this devotional service. The result of chanting is that one awakens love of Krishna and tastes the transcendental bliss. Ultimately, what will happen is we will attain association of Krishna, okay? And as we engage in his devotional service, we will be immersing ourselves in the ocean of love. So it is a journey, okay? For those of us who are at different points in the journey, there is an anxiety as to why do I not feel, all the things that are stated here. Because for everything, it is time, energy, and effort that takes anything to manifest. I was watching some contest on TV, and there are these people who've been preparing for, they're like 21, 22. So young people, you see, you're like, oh wow, this person is going to be winner of this contest. But you go and read. Some of them have been preparing for the age of 4. For even, this is like a material singing contest or cooking contest or whatever it is. It's not that they have reached this pinnacle of success by magic. They have been working from a very young age. So think of it, they've also put about 18, 20 years preparing for this grand finale, okay? So now think of us, we are also preparing for a grand finale, right? It's not going to come that I'm just going to, at that time, I'm going to trick Krishna and I'm going to remember Krishna's name. It doesn't happen like that. You have to continuously prepare, because we have to be in that grand finale one day. And again, you see the process of elimination, how people go into a grand finale. They select the top 20, then they select the top 10, then the top 6, then the top 3, and then one person goes, right? Think of our journey and Krishna consciousness the same way. And Krishna is very kind. He doesn't eliminate just because he wants one person at the end. Okay, we only get eliminated and we get deferred, as I would say, to our next life to continue. Here you win or you lose. There you continue your journey towards that grand finale. So anything that I see in real life, that also tells me that this has not happened just, by fluke. Nothing happens by fluke. Nothing happens by accident. And one thing I used to tell our children is, there is no substitute for hard work. Just no substitute exists. So you have to put in your effort. And here, our effort is very blissful. Nobody is judging us. Nobody is grading us. This is purely between you and Krishna. And all we have to do is put in our sincere effort, keep working towards this, And one day we will all be going through those gates of the grand finale into Krishna's world. So very important to understand, it is a journey. And no matter where you are in this journey, just stay determined, stay fixed in your course. When you stay the course, you will reach your destination. Have no doubt about that. Absolutely no doubt about that. In material competitions, you may not reach your destination because there are so many other factors which are out of your control. Here, the good news is all the factors are in our control. So let us put our human life to that use and take us to, the biggest grand finale for Krishna. So one reason why and many of us really love the Shikshashtakam prayers is because not only are we studying the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, but Lord Chaitanya himself is giving this purport. Okay? So that makes it a direct teaching from Lord Chaitanya to us. Just as Prabhupada points out that the author of Vedanta Sutra, Vyasadeva, wrote his own commentary. Okay, so when we read Bhagavatam also, we are learning directly from the author. Likewise here, even though Krishnadas Kaviraj has written, everything comes directly from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Krishnadas Kaviraj comments, and he has some very nice comments which I want to call out in this. For this first verse he says, lamentation and humility awoke within Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he began reciting another one of his own verses. Okay? By hearing the meaning of that verse, one can forget all unhappiness and lamentation. So the next verse is, Nam namakari bahuda nija sarva shaktis tatrapita niyamita smaranena kala etadrishi tava kripa bhagavan mamapi Durdaivam idrisham ihajani nanuraga. My Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, in your holy name there is all good fortune for the living entity. And therefore you have many names such as Krishna and Govinda, by which you expand yourself. You have invested your potencies in all the names. And there are no hard and fast rules for remembering them. My dear Lord, although you bestow such mercy upon fallen, conditioned souls by liberally teaching them your holy names, I am so unfortunate that I commit offenses while chanting the holy name, and therefore I do not receive attachment for chanting. So, Krishna has made it so easy. No rules, no qualifications. Anybody can chant anywhere, anytime, all day long, all night long, before you shower, after you shower. You can do it at any time, before you eat, after you eat. Krishna is so kind. He said, I'm going to make it very easy in this age of Kali. Why? Because he's so merciful and knows that focusing on the Lord, there are so many distractions in this age of Kali that focusing on the Lord is not easy. And he's made it even easier. So if there is any yuga where going back to Godhead is easy, it is this one. This is the easiest in terms of what they say, sacrifice that we have to do. Okay? And yet, our minds keep traveling while we are chanting. Oh, I have to call the gardener. Oh, I have to make sure this is done. And then we have to keep bringing our mind back, keep bringing our mind back. And it is practice. Like we said, even for any level of perfection, we have to practice. Doesn't happen day 1, doesn't happen day 10. It happens over an extended period of time. And the only thing we have to give in this lifetime is our time. Okay? And so it doesn't matter, you are walking to a meeting, you are going to, driving to the grocery store, you can still keep chanting. Krishna has said, I want you to just keep chanting, because that is how we will cleanse our heart and we will be able to get that attachment for Krishna. Lord Chaitanya continues with his purport. Because people vary in their desires, you have distributed holy names by your mercy. Regardless of the time or place, one who chants the holy name, even while eating or sleeping, attains all perfection. You have invested your potencies in each individual holy name, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attachment for chanting your holy names. O Swarup, now imagine, Lord is saying this, okay? When we know the Lord has perfect attachment, but the Lord is saying this just for us to understand, okay? He says, O Swarup Damodar Goswami and Ramananda Raya, hear from me the symptoms of how one should chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra to awaken very easily one's dormant love for Krishna. So it's not like we don't have love for Krishna. We all have love for Krishna. But like we said, we've covered that mirror with so much dust that when a mirror is covered with dust, you cannot see the reflection, right? So we cannot see Krishna's reflection because the mirror is covered, but we have the love for Krishna. And we have to awaken it. So then we go to this third verse of Shikshashtakam, which says, Trinadapi sunichena taroreva sahishnuna amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. So now the Lord is saying, how should we chant? First part was it cleansing the heart. Then telling us, no rules, just keep chanting, and of course, to get to a stage of chanting without offenses, because that is when we will attain that love for Krishna. And now, in what mood should we chant? One who thinks himself lower than the grass, who is more tolerant than a tree, and who doesn't expect personal honor, but is always prepared to give all respect to others, can very easily chant the holy name of the Lord. So, for all of us who have emotions which are expressed in the form which is not the way Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expressed them, we express anger, we express, in our anger, we say things which we don't mean, and try chanting 30 minutes after that. You cannot focus. Your mind just cannot focus because you have filled yourself with so much of the opposite of what this verse is saying to us. When you fill your heart with all those negative emotions, you cannot chant properly. You may be still on your rounds, but it is just verbal chanting. It is not chanting from the heart. You don't feel that chanting. So here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, to chant, we have to first be, we have to be humble. We cannot think of ourselves as, I'm the scholar, I'm giving this class, so you know what, I think I know it all. No, I do not. Tolerant. And that's where I think anger comes, because we lose our ability to tolerate. So we have to be tolerant like a tree. You look at the trees, especially when we had that ice which broke, the branches of all the trees. The trees did not complain. And that's why they say you have to be as tolerant as a tree. That's an example. And don't expect that people are going to come and respect me. But we should still give respect to everybody. In that mood, we can chant from our heart. Okay? These are the symptoms of one who chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Although he is very exalted, he thinks himself lower than the grass on the ground. Why lower than the grass of the ground? Because the grass is willing for all of us to step over them and still stay where it is and still be in its form. Okay? So we should not care if somebody respects us or not. We should still be willing to give respect to everybody. And like a tree that tolerates everything, when a tree is cut down, it does not protest. When it is drying up, it does not ask anybody for water. The tree delivers its fruits, flowers, and whatever it possesses to anyone and everyone. It tolerates scorching heat, torrents of rain, snow and ice, yet it gives shelter to others. Although a Vaishnava is the most exalted person, he should be prideless and give all respect to everybody, knowing everyone to be the resting place of Krishna. So how can we give respect to everybody? Because the only way we can do it is if we say, no, this person also has Krishna within. So by me expressing pride or anger or puffed up ego towards this person, I'm expressing that towards Krishna. The only way to be able to build this mood is just one clear thing, remembering that Krishna is in everybody. Everybody has Krishna residing, so whatever your action towards or reaction towards somebody is, it is ultimately towards Krishna. Again, this is a journey, so start small steps and keep reminding yourself, keep self-reflecting when you go through these negative emotions as to why did I have this negative emotion, how can I make sure I don't have it again, and the practice will eventually get us to that point. If one chants the holy name of Lord Krishna in this manner, he will certainly awaken the dormant love for Krishna's lotus feet. That is our goal, right? To cleanse our heart, awaken that love for Krishna so that we feel ecstatic and all these emotions are tied to Krishna. And we can then go back to Krishna. So again, hearing from Krishnadas Kaviraj, as Lord Chaitanya spoke in this way, his humility increased and he began praying to Krishna that he would discharge pure devotional service. Whenever there is a relationship of love of Godhead, it is a natural symptom. Its natural symptom is that the devotee does not think of himself as a devotee. Instead, he always thinks that he does not even have a drop of love for Krishna. Now the fourth verse. Na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadish kamaye mama janmani janmanishware bhavatad bhakti haitaki tvai. O Lord of the universe, I do not desire material wealth, materialistic followers, a beautiful wife, or fruitive activities described in flowery language. All I want, life after life, is unmotivated devotional service towards you. Somebody had asked me, what does unmotivated mean? Basically, unmotivated means, yeah, we are motivated to go back to Krishna, but unmotivated here means that not motivated by any material benefit. Not motivated by any conditions that, we are very good at making deals. Krishna, please give me this, I'll chant another 2 rounds every day. That is where we want to say unmotivated, that we are going to be unconditional in our love for Krishna. My dear Krishna, I do not want material wealth from you, nor do I want followers, a beautiful wife, or the results of fruitive activities. I only pray that by your causeless mercy, you give me pure devotional service life after life. So you see, here we are not even asking that you give me entry into Krishna's world. All we are saying is, it doesn't matter what form of life you give me, just give me devotional service in that form of life. So Krishnadas Kaviraj interjects, in great humility, considering himself a conditioned soul. So Lord Chaitanya is treating himself like a conditioned soul of the material world. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again expressed his desire to be endowed with service to the Lord. So one important thing here is that when we get to that point of pure devotional service, we will not even care if we get entry into the devotional world, into Golok Vrindavan. All we are going to care is we have devotional service in our heart. Doesn't matter what life I get, doesn't matter which yuga I'm born in, I just want devotional service. So pure devotional service does not even ask for, only asks for devotional service. It doesn't ask for anything else. So the 5th verse says, Einanda tanuja kinkaram patitam ma vishame bhavambudhau kripaya tava pada pankaja stitaduli sadarsham vichintaya. O my Lord, O Krishna, O son of Nanda Maharaj, I am your eternal servant. But because of my own fruitive acts, so my own material desires, which are like blazing fire, right? I have fallen into this horrible ocean of nescience. Now please be causelessly merciful to me. Consider me to be a particle of dust at your lotus feet. I am your eternal servant, but I forgot your lordship. Now I have fallen into this ocean of nescience and have been conditioned by their external energy. So external energy is also Krishna's. Okay? Be causelessly merciful. We are requesting, begging Krishna, because Krishna can be causelessly mercy. That means for no reason he can be merciful. Be causelessly merciful to me by giving me a place with the particles of dust at your lotus feet, so I may engage in your service of lordship as an eternal servant. So, we always talk of cause and effect. I must have, when we are going through some hardship, we say, I must have done something because of which I am suffering, or I must have done something because of which I have this good life. That is true. That is the, circle of karma. But this causeless mercy, Krishna can give anyone if we are genuine and sincere in our efforts. So, an example of this would be Valmiki, where Krishna gave him causeless mercy. He was calling his grandson, Narayan, and Krishna gave him his causeless mercy and took him back. So, do not underestimate what Krishna can do. The other day I was talking to a devotee friend and I was telling them about our dog, and I said, but she has to get human life before she can go back to Krishna. And she reminded me, remember, Krishna can have causeless mercy. And if Krishna wants, anything can happen. She could go back in this dog form also. And I said, yeah, that is a good point. So do not underestimate, do not think that we have such a long journey, I don't know when I'll get there. Maybe I should at least, may enjoy in my material life. Who knows what I'm going to get. I hear a lot about that from people. I hear a lot about people saying, this is also negative. It makes me feel that there is such a long path, so why not just, make the best of what is in front of me. Don't do that. Because that is giving up before you have tried. It's like, I will not go for the exam because I'm worried if I don't know the answers. Go for the exam, it's okay. Maybe it is just the things you've studied. So that is why I keep on this journey, because who knows? That one time when we have chanted with ultimate purity, Krishna could be pleased, Radharani could be pleased, and we could get causeless mercy. So it doesn't mean we don't endeavor to chant without offenses, but also Krishna is so merciful that you may get this lifetime devotional worship regardless of which planet we are in, which yuga we are in. And that is what we want to get to. Krishna Das Kaviraj says, natural humility and eagerness then awoke in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He prayed to Krishna to be able to chant Maha Mantra in ecstatic love. Why did Lord Chaitanya pray to Krishna to chant Maha Mantra with ecstatic love? Because he was behaving as if he's a fallen soul to teach all of us fallen souls how we should pray to Krishna. So we should all pray to Krishna when we are doing our japa, our Maha Mantra, that Krishna, please, I want to chant this with ecstatic love. And when we do this with sincerity, when we do it with practice, when we show our effort, Krishna will give us that ecstatic love. So the 6th verse, now going to the 6th verse, it says, Nayanam galad ashru dharaya vadanam gadgada ruddhaya gira pulakir nichitam vapukada tava nama grihane bhavishyati. My dear Lord, when will my eyes be beautified by filling with tears that constantly glide down as I chant your holy name? When will my voice falter and all hairs on my body stand erect in transcendental happiness as I chant your holy name? Without love of Godhead, my life is useless. Therefore, I pray that you accept me as your servant and you give me the ecstatic love for God. So, Krishnadas Kaviraj comments, separation from Krishna awoke various mellows of distress. We talked about emotions in the beginning. So distress is an emotion. Lamentation and humility. So that is what awoke in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thus Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke like a crazy man. And in the 7th verse, he says, Yugaitam nimeshena chakshusha pravrishaitam Shunyaitam jagat sarvam Govinda virhane me. My Lord Govinda, because of separation from you, I consider even a moment to be a great millennium. Tears flow from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I see the entire world as a void. This world is useless, we know that. In my agitation, a day never ends. For a moment, seems like a millennium. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, the day is so far out for me when a moment of separation feels like a millennium. Pouring incessant tears, my eyes are like clouds in the rainy season. The 3 worlds have become void because of separation from Govinda. I feel as if I were burning alive in a slow fire. I mean, just picturize this, burning alive in a slow fire. That is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt. So now we come to the final section, the 8th verse of the Shikshashtakam prayers. Here, Lord Krishna has become, it says, Lord Krishna has become indifferent to me and my friends, indifferent to me to test my love, and my friends say, better to disregard him. So we talked about that, right? So Krishnadas Kaviraj is commenting on this last verse and last statement. So while Srimati Radharani was always thinking in this way, the characteristics of natural love become manifest because of her pure love. That is why we say we have to approach Radharani to approach Krishna. The ecstatic symptoms of envy, great eagerness, humility, and supplication are all become manifest all at once in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In that mood of in that mood, the mind of Srimati Radharani was agitated. And therefore, she spoke a verse of advanced devotion to her gopi friends. In the same spirit of ecstasy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recited that verse. As soon as he did, he felt like Srimati Radharani. So the 8th verse says, and this verse was told by Radharani first. And then, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came in the mood of Radharani and wanted to feel the same eagerness, ecstasy, and mad love for Krishna the way Radharani would feel, this was the 8th verse. Ashlishya vapadaratam pinashtu mam adarshanan marmahatam karotu va yatha tatha va vidathato lampato mat prananathastu sa eva napara. Let Krishna tightly embrace this maidservant who has fallen at his lotus feet, or let him trample me or break my heart by never being visible to me. He is a debauchee. After all, he can do whatever he likes, but still he alone and no one else is worshipable Lord of my heart. Radharani is completely, she's teaching us how we should be unconditional and in a very unmotivated and uninterrupted way always be devoted to Krishna regardless of what we get. She says, I am the maid servant at the lotus feet of Krishna. He is the embodiment of transcendental happiness and mellows. If he likes, he can embrace me. If he likes, he can trample me. If he likes, I will be invisible to him. Okay? He may corrode my mind and body. Nevertheless, so regardless of how Krishna handles our devotion has to be so strong that he is the Lord of my life. If Radharani can feel this way, who is so dear to Krishna, we have to then take her cue and devote ourselves to Krishna in that way. My dear friend, just hear this decision from my mind. Lord Krishna is the Lord of my life in all conditions. Whether he shows me affection or kills me by giving me unhappiness. Sometimes Krishna gives up the companies of the other gopis and becomes controlled mind and body by me. Thus he manifests my good fortune and gives others distress by performing his loving affairs with me. Or, since after all he is very cunning, obstinate, and with a propensity to cheat, he takes to the company of other women. He then indulges in loving affairs in front of me to give me distress. Nevertheless, he is my Lord and he is my life. I do not mind my personal distress. I only wish for happiness of Krishna, for his happiness is the goal of my life. If Krishna is happy, giving me distress, then the distress is my happiness. If Krishna is attracted by the beauty of some other woman and wants to enjoy, but is unhappy because he cannot get her, then I fall down at her feet, catch her hand and bring her to Krishna. That is how Radharani is. All she is focused on is if Krishna is happy. She doesn't care about if she is happy and what she's getting. When a beloved gopi shows symptoms of anger towards Krishna, Krishna is very satisfied. Indeed, he is extremely pleased when chastised by such a gopi. She shows her pride suitably and Krishna enjoys that attitude. Then she gives up her pride with a little endeavor. Why does a woman continue to live who knows that Krishna's heart is unhappy, but who still shows her deep anger towards him? She is interested in her own happiness, that woman. I condemn such a woman, Radharani is saying, to be struck on the head with a thunderbolt, for we simply want happiness of Krishna. If a gopi, envious of me, and here me is Radharani, satisfies Krishna, and Krishna desires her, I shall not hesitate to go to her house and become her maidservant, for then my happiness will be awakened. The wife of a Brahmana suffering from leprosy manifested herself as the topmost of all chaste women by serving a prostitute to satisfy her husband. She thus stopped the movement of the sun, brought her dead husband back to life, and satisfied the three principal demigods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh. So this is an example given, and I don't think we have time to cover this example, so I'm going to continue. So now Krishnadas Kaviraj will finish up this chapter. The final verse was not Sri Chaitanya's purport, remember, it was Radharani's purport. These statements by Srimati Radharani show the symptoms of pure love for Krishna tasted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was emulating Radharani's behavior. In that ecstatic love, his mind was unsteady. Transformations of transcendental love spread throughout his entire body, and he could not sustain his body and mind. The pure devotional service in Vrindavan is like golden particles in the river Jambu. In Vrindavan, there is not a trace of personal sense gratification. It is to advertise such pure love in the material world that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has written the previous verse and explained its meaning. Thus, overwhelmed by ecstatic love, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke like a madman and recited all these verses. The Lord has formally composed these 8 verses to teach people in general. Now he personally tasted. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came in this form of ecstatic love for Krishna, he personally tasted the meaning of these verses, which is called Shikshashtakam. Krishna Das Kaviraj now ends this chapter. He says, if anyone recites or hears these 8 verses of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his ecstatic love and devotion for Krishna will increase day by day. That is why we do the Shikshashtakam every morning, to increase our devotion for Krishna day by day. So there's an expression in English, a word to the wise. Okay, so this last statement is a word to the wise. If your goal is to increase your ecstatic love and devotion to Krishna, here is the clue. If anyone recites or hears these 8 verses of instruction every day, their love for Krishna will increase day by day. So this is like a, open secret. And the reason it's open is because it's told to us. The reason it's a secret is because we still may not understand the essence of it. So we have to recite and hear these 8 verses every day to increase our love and devotion for Krishna, and really with our heart, not just repeating those verses, but understanding the meaning of each of those verses. So when we are reciting those verses, we are remembering the meaning of those verses. What does each verse mean? And that sets us in the right mood, right intention, and mindset by which we can chant properly. And when we can chant properly, slowly our heart is going to be cleansed and we will be able to see Krishna and get unlimited lifetimes of love for Krishna. So let us all chant, and before we end this chapter, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Shri Shikshashtakam ki jai.
Thank you, Mataji. That's a wonderful class on Shikshashtakam. Devotees, if you have any question, please raise your hand in the temple hall, and as well as in Zoom. If you have any question or a comment, please share. Restrain for glorifying the class, and you can ask a question or a comment. Hare Krishna Mataji, I have one question. You mentioned that whenever we offend anyone, or if we give back anyone, they also have Paramatma, so we need to be careful, right? But we should be tolerant. You mentioned this in the context of how tolerant we should be, like a tree, right? But sometimes if we are not correcting, or if we are not giving back sometime, then they may think that, oh, this is, they can force even more, and we need to stop, right? So you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand. So you have to pass on reaction, but how you pass on reaction is important. The important thing is to do it respectfully. So, for example, even at work, in my mind, sometimes it may be that, oh my God, what is going on? You almost want to slash what the other person is saying, but you cannot, right? Because we are following some norms of work, and we're saying, okay, I have to tell this person that this person is not correct, but how do I do it? So the tolerant part is important. So if anybody is, for example, anybody is talking bad about you, don't bother. Let them say what they want to. But if anybody is coming and saying, hey, you are doing something wrong, and you are not doing something wrong, there is a way in which we communicate and a way in which we put our point. We don't have to let them convince everybody that they are wrong when we are not wrong. But I think the whole meaning here is we should not expect honor, but at the same time we should give honor. It doesn't mean that if somebody says, whatever you said right now is completely wrong, it is bogus, you're like, okay, that must be your ideology, but we still believe in this. And if you are well versed in the scriptures, you can challenge them with knowledge. If you're not well versed with scriptures, you can still, like in one of the Krishna book chapters, there was one thing where a lot of people were chastising Krishna. So the people who were for Krishna were either those who supported Krishna verbally or who walked away from there, because when you are sitting there listening to the chastisement of Krishna, you become part of that whole thing. So you have two ways to either speak with knowledge and to contest them, okay, respectfully, or your second way is to walk away from there saying that I'm not going to be part of it. But respect under all circumstances should be offered. Did this answer your question?
Yes, Mataji.
The problem is when because of the bad qualities that we have, sometimes we express anger, we disrespect, we say things we don't mean, and then we are self-reflecting after that as to, why did I say all this? I could have just made my point respectfully and walked away. So I think that is where we are trying to channelize our emotions towards Krishna and not towards things that are going to actually fill our heart with negativity.
Yeah, this makes sense. If no other question, I have one more question, Mataji.
Sure.
In the 44th verse, it mentioned that the ecstatic symptoms of envy, great eagerness, humility, zeal, and supplication all become manifest at once. So I didn't understand. Envy is a negative word. Why that will evoke when the ecstatic symptom? Can you throw some light on it?
So yeah. So like we said in the beginning, also anxiety, all of those emotions, anger is also a negative emotion, right? Mm-hmm. If they are channelized, the way I see it is, the gopis were envious of Radharani, okay? But what was their envy for? Their envy was for being close to Krishna. So I think if you use all these emotions, and ultimately who gave us all these emotions? Krishna gave us all these emotions. But if we use it to try and not envy of a devotee that person is doing this, not in that competitive spirit, but in the spirit of, I know that there are many other devotees who are performing service, and my envy is not from them. My envy is related to, why am I not doing this to get to Krishna? So we get envious not to put them down, but to move ourselves forward. So every emotion can be used in a way that it channelizes us to get closer to Krishna. But when we start using it, and it's very common for people to use that same emotion to try and suppress another person's activities, that is wrong. But envy that, I wish I was like the gopis who had so much love for Krishna. So I have envy for the gopis, but not because there's something wrong that the gopis are doing, but it is towards, how can I, move in that direction.
That's wonderful, Mataji. In material
anything else you want to add?
Envy has three ill effects, Shastra says. First is, if you are envy towards somebody, you lose intelligence. Because you are so envious of them, you cannot apply the teachings of the scriptures and do the right thing. So second is, you become stone-hearted. Kaikeyi is a classic example. She lost intelligence. She loved Ram so much. Because of bad association with mantra, she lost intelligence and she becomes stone-hearted. What happens? Destructive action. So when you become no intelligence, you become stone-hearted, then you do a destructive action to destroy the person, either by using a bird words or bad mouthing or physical action, whatever it is. See, it's an ill effect of envy in the material world. Mataji was saying, it's an inspiration in the spiritual world. So they look at the gopi and say, oh, I want to serve like her. I want to serve like this Gopa. You know what I'm saying? I want to love Krishna like this. So that's an inspiration they take. So the ill effect of that emotion will not be there. The pure emotion will prevail. That's the difference.
Yeah, and one more thing I'd like to add is in the spiritual world, it's not a world of duality. Everything is absolute. So everything is auspicious. So if we look at it that way, and if we are channelized using that emotion for auspiciousness, then it is you're trying to imbibe those qualities of how this emotion would work in the spiritual world.
Thanks a lot, Mother. So nicely explained. Wonderful.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you, Mataji. That's a wonderful class. You take us to the complete Siksastakam and the nice verses. That verses translation is enough. I didn't see any purport Prabhupada wrote. I think that translation itself is speaking a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you for educating us in this. Hare Krishna, Mataji. We want to hear more classes from you.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, devotees, we are moving on to the next part of our program. Is Arati. Please raise your places. Suvarnamandri Mataji is doing Kirtan, and Sarveshri Mataji is doing Arati service.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine
Namaste Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine
Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine
Namaste Saraswati Deve गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादिशतारिणे
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंदा
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्ण राम राम हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar Radha Shyam Sundar Radhe
Jaya Radha Shyam Sundar Radha Shyam Sundar Radhe
Jaya Radha Neel Madhav Radha Neel Madhav Radhe
Jaya Radha Neel Madhav Radha Neel Madhav Radhe
Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe
Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe
Jaya Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Radhe
Jaya Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Radhe
Jaya Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Radhe
Jaya Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Radhe
Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe
Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe
Jaya Gaurani Tai Jaya
निताय जय गौर निताय
जय जय प्रभुपाद
प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद
प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद
जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद
जय जय गुरुदेव गुरुदेव
गुरुदेव
गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव
जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव
निताय गौर हरि बोल
हरि बोल
हरि बोल
हरि बोल
हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल
निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल
जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्री प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य श्री हरदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की वृंदावन धाम की नवद्वीप धाम की यमुना देवी गंगा देवी तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की बृहत मृदंगा की हरिनाम संकीर्तन की सामवेद भक्त वृंद की गौर प्रेमानंदे ऑल ग्लोरीज असेंबल डिवोटीज all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Hare Krishna Temple of Austin ki jai.
नमस्ते नरसिंहाय नमस्ते नरसिंहाय प्रहलाद लाद दाहिने
प्रहलाद लाद दायिने
हिरण्यकाशिपोर्वक्षः
हिरण्यकाशिपोर्वक्षः
शिलतन्कानकालाये
शीलतन्कानकालाये
हितो नरसिंहो परतो नरसिंहो
हितो नरसिंहो परतो नरसिंहो
यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहो
यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहो
बहिर्नरसिंहो हृदये नरसिंहो
बहिर्नरसिंहो हृदये नरसिंहो
नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे
नरसिंहमादिं शरणं प्रपद्ये
तव करकमलवरे नाकाम् अद्भुतशृङ्गां दालिता हिरण्यकशिपूतनुभृङ्गां केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे
तव कर कमलवरे नाकाम् अद्भुत शृङ्गां दलिता
हिरण्यकशिपूतनुभृङ्गां केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे नरसिंह जय नरसिंह
जय
नरसिंह देव जय नरसिंह देव जय नरसिंह देव
नरसिंह देव जय नरसिंह देव जय नरसिंह देव जय नरसिंह देव
जयो प्रहलाद महाराज जयो प्रहलाद महाराज जयो प्रहलाद महाराज जयो प्रहलाद महाराज
जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज
गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव
जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव शिला प्रभुपाद की जय नरसिंह भगवान की
जय गौर प्रेमानंदी जय
Hare Krishna. Thank you.